Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about something again in regards to romantic relationships especially, but in relationships to one degree or another in a more general sense anyway. But I wanted this people come to me and they talk to me about an awful lot of their problems and the things and their perceptions of situations so that I can try and help them reflect on them and discuss them and learn from them. And as a result, I wanted to talk about limiting beliefs, and I've talked about limiting beliefs before, but I wanted to speak specifically about the limiting. I believe it's we've got 7 on my list here of the most common limiting beliefs that people bring to me in regards to the relationships that they're in, and I wanted to go through each one and respond to each one to one extent or another, just with the ways that I've observed, the questions that I ask, and how some of these things just really aren't as big a deal as people make out of them. And trying to help people gain that perspective is incredibly important, because obviously if you see an obstacle down the road and it seems huge, then you're going to be apprehensive about going and approaching it and trying to deal with it. But then if you have a little bit more perspective, then maybe you see that it's not as big, or maybe it's just a cardboard thin cutout in the road ahead of you, and you can quite happily move past it without a problem. um, Excuse me. But without further ado, the first one that I hear an awful lot is much about kind of personal appreciation of your own aesthetics or your own body, and this is again mostly in regards to romantic relationships more so than anything else. And it's kind of like, my insert body part here is too big, too small, misshapen, has an extra eye, whatever. It's it's that kind of self-perception of what your body is and what people will think of it more so than anything else. And it kind of slows people down. The number of girls who are like, I don't have boobs, and as a result, it's people don't find me attractive, or a guy who is in a similar situation where it's like, I have a small penis, and as a result, no one will want that. And realize that some of the people that I've been discussing these things with and talking about these things are young people. Most of them, in fact, are younger people. And as a result, these are people with very limited experience in relationships and in these kind of areas. And as a result, it's like, well, what is it that makes you think this? That's one of the questions that I always lead off of from this kind of thing when someone says this. What is it that makes you think this? What evidence do you have that that they're too small, or that people won't find them attractive? And there's often a lot of kind of discussion after that about maybe what's in the media, what they've seen, what their friends have said, what people have said to them on a tangent without actually seeing them. There have been a few people that I've talked to, which is a kind of sad situation, who have taken kind of porn to one extent or another as a good example of human anatomy. Or there was even one individual who I spoke to briefly, who was particularly kind of focused on some of the diagrams and things that they had seen in biology classes and sex ed classes when they were a kid, and they felt the proportions on the diagrams were supposed to be average and exemplary, when obviously they're very cleanly drawn, shall we say, in a textbook for the sake of people seeing what there is and understanding the mechanisms involved. And as a result, reality just doesn't look like that. Reality is an awful lot messier and not quite as pristine. And as a result, taking a good look at those things that they had looked at, places that they had got these beliefs from, or whatever else, taking those and taking a good hard look at them, seeing what evidence they actually had for what was said. The only time that I would say, take some of this seriously, instead of just taking a step back, is there have been a couple of people that, in talking to me about these things, have pointed out something or discussed something where they feel that they are very outside of the norm, in certain ways, in which case my only advice to those people, my only comment to those people, when I've been discussing it, is obviously I'm not a doctor and I can't in any way discuss or address those things with any real degree of certainty, in which case if you're if there's a genuine concern about something being misshapen or damaged or unusual, then the only thing that I can suggest to those people is go and see a doctor, because maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If there is, maybe there's a way to fix it and solve it. Who knows? But for those are very rare by comparison to just taking a good look and going, actually, just because this body part has decided to develop in this certain way, it doesn't make you unattractive or undesirable or anything like that. It just means that you're different like everybody else. But yeah, then the next one is a lot more, I feel, political, and that is where people will be inclined towards a thing, but thanks to their upbringing, thanks to beliefs that they have developed when they were younger or whatever else, from parents talking to them, or from teachers talking to them, or from things that they've seen in media, or from religion or whatever, whereby they come out and they just go, well, a relationship like this thing that I want, is wrong. And then, of course, the first question I have to ask is, well, who says it's wrong? What evidence do you have for it being wrong? What does wrong mean to you? Because obviously wrong can mean all manner of things to everybody, and so you need to there has to be an understanding of what wrong means. But then also, what is the evidence? Where has this belief come from? Because obviously, if it has come from a parent who is particularly conservative, let's take the example of a gay relationship, and a conservative parent or a religious parent has said that is a wrong thing to happen, and as a result, the kid has taken that to heart and not wanted to go down that path for fear of kind of having their parent rile against them. It's the difficult situations, certainly, but what it comes down to is the wrongness of a situation. I don't feel that there are many situations that are in this area that are 100% wrong for a person. A person seeking to go out there and care for others and be in turn cared for, to one degree or another, that's purely a nice thing. And so saying that a relationship is wrong just because it's between two people of the same sex, or that they have an interesting dynamic that is somewhat unconventional, so what? As long as it's not a harmful relationship to either individual, then have at it. And obviously there are many complications, but the crux of the matter is, especially in the Western kind of rather liberal society compared to certain places on the planet, where all of these people that I've been coaching come from, as that's where I live, the discussion has to be around what is wrong, why do you feel this, and then once you've got to that point, if it's genuinely something that they still want, as said, not always, but people don't always know what they want when they come to talk to me, and then they work it out as a result of the questions that I ask and the things that we talk about. But the having an appreciation of those things, and then working that out, and then working out how to move forward with that, that's far more important than someone from your past telling you that something is wrong or right. It's your life, it's your state of being that you need to take care for. That's what you're responsible for. They're responsible for theirs, you're responsible for yours. The third one is kind of linked to some of the others later on, but it's one that I've heard a couple of times, and from young people as well, which is a kind of ridiculous thing. But it's very much a case of, I'm set in my ways and I can't change. Well, that's an excuse. What is it that stops you from changing? Because if the answer is you, then guess what? That means you're literally limiting yourself, and you're causing yourself problems. But also, what is it that makes you think you have to change? Because that's where, it may very well be this big excuse, but also they're making an excuse for something that hasn't even been demanded of them. Getting into a relationship often doesn't come down to changing, it just comes down to filtering the good parts from the bad parts. Yeah? Just so that people get that good first impression, that they actually engage with you to begin with, and then are willing to discuss and move forward. And so you're saying that you're not willing to change when no one has asked you to change? What are you afraid of? What is it that's caused this sudden excuse before anything else has been said? Have an appreciation of what you think you will have to change. One person to approach a girl that he liked, one individual that came to talk to me, he felt that he would need to change an awful lot about himself. And I went, well, do you interact with this person on a regular basis anyway? Yes. Okay, so has she conversed with you anyway? Yes. Right, okay, in which case, what makes you think that you need to change? What is it that you think you need to change? And he felt that it was very much more his outward appearance, his style, and all the rest of it. And I was like, has anyone made that demand of you? Has anyone ridiculed you for the way that you look? No. Okay, so then where is this thought coming from? And it was purely his perception of she looked good and he didn't feel he looked good. But he didn't want to change because he quite liked the way that he kind of dressed, it was comfortable for him. And it's like, okay, so no one's made any demands of you, you're only making excuses for yourself because you're afraid of what other people think. That validation that people that you're looking for, you're definitely not going to get one way or the other, because they're not things that people come out and say. So making excuses like that and just jumping the gun, it only causes you problems down the line, because it gets a whole load of thoughts in your head, a whole load of worries and other things going around inside your mind, that then you start preemptively attacking or preemptively trying to defend against, when you're sat in your little fortress of excuses and limiting beliefs, shoring up the edges of your comfort zone, and outside there's an empty field, there's no attacking army, there's nothing, but you've boarded up all the windows so you can't see. The fourth one is I'm insert personality trait here and no one likes that. And it's like, again, kind of with the one that we just talked about in regards to not being able to change, what is it that makes you think that people don't like that personality type, or that it's undesirable? Yeah? Understanding where these thoughts are coming from, understanding where these beliefs are coming from, understanding what gave you these ideas in the first place, can then help you address whether or not what you're saying, what you're coming out with, is realistic. I'm a unknown personality type. I've got a dark sense of humour, and no one likes that. Well, are you sure? What is it that's made you think that people don't like a dark sense of humour? And as a result, going back and having a look at that, and I saw it on a list on BuzzFeed that it was one of the least desired traits. Okay, so that's BuzzFeed. Is BuzzFeed a credible source on this? Probably not. And as a result, is it worth listening to what they have to say? No. Okay, well, if you're unsure, should we do some research and see if that's a thing that's worth listening to? After you've done the research, is it a thing worth listening to? As a result, what your initial statement was, do you still find that to be the case? Or is it possible that what you were saying was purely your perception and not, and it becomes obviously I'm talking through at speed here. There would be a lot more openness maybe to what I'm saying with a client, but what it comes down to is, again, this is all self-perception stuff. It's all in your head, and as a result, it's you building walls to keep yourself in. You're locking yourself in a little jail cell, instead of allowing you to maybe have a look around and maybe see where you fit in, or where people would like you to be, or where you would like to be, and how you can get there. The next one again is more kind of still along the same lines, and it's I don't X, Y, or Z, and as a result, I'll never get anywhere. And it's like, so these are behaviors, so if I don't X, Y, and Z, I'll never get anywhere. Well, fine. So what is it that's stopping you from doing X, Y, and Z? Yeah, because that's trying to find out what's actually getting in the way. Whether there is actually nothing getting in the way, and the only thing that's getting in the way is you. That's a big important step to take, because if the only thing that's in the way is yourself, and the only person who's responsible for yourself is yourself, and as a result the only person who can change yourself is yourself, then that means that there's no issue here, is there? Because you are yourself, and therefore you can make the change. As a result of being responsible for yourself, you can take control of that situation and move the bits around inside you. Over time, granted, it might be a hard thing depending on what you're trying to change, or what new behaviours you're trying to develop, or whatever else. But you can change those things for yourself. If you're going, I don't go to the gym, and as a result I'm getting unfit, and as a result of that I'll never get anywhere. Well, what is it that prevents you going to the gym? Oh, well, I work 16-hour days and I come home and I collapse, and then I'm up again and back off to work the following day for another 16-hour day, and I just don't have the time beyond coming home, eating, sorting myself out, and going to sleep. And it's like, okay, then is there anything else that you can do? Are there any other methods by which you could achieve the same result instead of going to the gym? And then that becomes an investigation into the options to allow that person to still get the result. There are lots of ways around problems. It's just the fact that there are a lot of really difficult kind of situations where, especially when you've entrenched yourself in these beliefs, in these things in your head, it becomes a bit of a complicated matter of trying to free yourself from it so that you can actually look around. As said, if you've built yourself into a fortress and boarded up all the windows, seeing that actually there's a whole world outside with almost infinite possibilities, it's gonna slow you down. Oh, excuse me. Okay, and so these last two are kind of they're the same thing, but on kind of different sides of things, if you like. One is very much focused on yourself, one is focused on outside. The first one is, no one will ever hire me for who I am. And the other one is, I want someone to love, like, or hire me for who I am. And it's like, because obviously I did say at the beginning that these may very well be more attached to other relationships as well as just romantic. It's just that they tend to pop up more in romance. But again, I feel like this is very much like the I'm set in my ways and I can't change. It's, you've tried to define yourself as who you are, and as a result, you're, in regards to no one will ever like or love or hire me for who I am, you're suggesting that the outside just won't accept you, and from the inside, it's I want someone to love and like and whatever me for who I am. And in those situations, it's a case of, well, you're trying to kind of pull people in without possibly giving them a reason to do so. And so what it comes, the bottom line of these two is, again, so what makes you think that people won't accept you for who you are, or what makes you think that there is no one out there that will accept you? And again, what is it that makes you think this? And then examining those beliefs and things. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What of these limiting beliefs have you had, or what others are there out there that you feel that you've interacted with in this kind of environment. Otherwise, if you found this at all interesting or liked what I was saying, or just gave you something to think about, then please drop me a like, and otherwise please subscribe for more. Take care, guys.